Good evening. I came across an open letter to Speaker of the House Mike Johnson on one of my political activist groups. And though it's going around, apparently, or on at least that social media, being as that it was written as an open letter to Mike Johnson, I thought I'd give these people, and I'll read at the end who it's from. Or maybe I'll do it now. Let's see. Let's go to the end. And it's from, regards, Chairman, CEO, and founder of NeuroVigil, former adjunct professor in Stanford School of Medicine, former researcher, MIT, Salk Institute, University of Chicago, Harvard Medical School. Okie dokes. Settle in. Need something to drink. Grab a smoke, a toke, whatever. I'll wait, get comfortable. It's a little bit of a read. I just thought, sir, who wrote this, that it needed to get circulated a little bit more. So I'm just going to title it Open Letter to Speaker Mike Johnson. And I will obviously have been crediting you, and I will credit in the writing so you guys can see if you want to see it yourself. If you want, I'll put it in the post, in the community posts as well. Everybody settled and ready? Let's go. Starts off with just showing the 14th Amendment, Section 3. Let's just peruse that again. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. They did not do that. He was for January 6th. And yet, to run this whole time, they did not request permission and get permission from 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate, which obviously it says is needed if you want to run again and you have been accused of that, or none of that occurred. He was just pushed through and intimidated through and pushed through in the correct places with the correct judges that he appointed that still stood for him. And thus has finally sparked this open letter. And somebody who posted this isn't the person who wrote the open letter, and that was 2 days ago. So it's been a bit, but an open letter to the Speaker of the People's House, to the Honorable Speaker Mike Johnson. That's just civil courtesies, professional courtesies. The word on Main Street across America is that despite being a constitutional lawyer with a prestigious degree from the 84th best law school in the United States and working in the People's House, at the sole discretion of the people, you have no more backbone than a chocolate eclair, to quote President Theodore Roosevelt, and do not care to fathom that your boss is actually the people of the United States. and not Donald Trump, and that you are de facto treating your job as Speaker of the House of Representatives like when you were a dean of a non-existent law school, i.e. like a puppet. I do not know you and reserve judgment, but I am going to test this idea by asking you 24 questions that a bashful, bespectacled weasel whose IQ reaches room temperature can respond to. Your actions, or lack thereof, in the coming days will indicate your answers. And I'm just going to add my own thing now that I've read this and you've heard it. I'll be watching too. We'll all be watching the answers to this. Mike Johnson. Sit down and get your pen ready to start answering 24 questions this gentleman and I have. Johnson. 1. Is Donald Trump not a threat to the U.S. Constitution? 2. When Donald Trump threatens or ignores habeas corpus, which requires the government to provide a public reason to detain or imprison people, is he not in violation of Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2 of the Constitution? 3. By selling World Liberty financial tokens in which Donald Trump and his family have a claim on 75% of revenues, and inviting his biggest financial backers to the White House and accepting a $400 million jet from Qatar for both official and private use, and which will cost the people multiple times more to adapt to the presidency, is Donald Trump not in blatant violation of Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8 of the Constitution, the Emoluments Clause? 4. By defunding entire government agencies and the parties they fund, including universities, impounding or misusing congressional funds, is Donald Trump not in blatant violation of Article 1, which gives Congress the power of the purse, and of Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2, the Appointments Clause, as Doge was never approved by Congress and Elon Musk was never confirmed by the Senate? 5. By claiming via executive order that only he and the Attorney General are responsible for the interpretation of the law, is Donald Trump not in blatant violation of Article 3 of the Constitution, which establishes the judicial branch? 6. By targeting the media and students for their free speech, including ex post facto, is Donald Trump not in blatant violation of the First Amendment? 7. By having federal agents search people's private communications and attempt to enter their homes without a warrant, is Donald Trump not in blatant violation of the Fourth Amendment? 8. By deporting aliens without any due process, is Donald Trump not in blatant violation of the Fifth Amendment? 9. By targeting law firms via executive order, which have represented his rivals, is Donald Trump not in blatant violation of the First, the Fifth, and the Sixth Amendments? 10. By targeting birthright citizenship, is Donald Trump not in blatant violation of the 14th Amendment, Section 1? 11. By targeting U.S. citizens for deportations to foreign prisons, and by designating people protesting at his largest benefactor's company as terrorists, is Donald Trump not in blatant violation of the Eighth Amendment? Number 12. By doing a Tesla infomercial at the White House, is Donald Trump not in violation of 5 CFR 2635.702? 14. By pardoning domestic terrorists who attempted to overthrow the results of an election, is Donald Trump not in violation of the Electoral Count Act? Number 15. By destroying records of USAID, an organization which theretofore was investigating the alleged use of Starlink terminals by Russia in Ukraine, is Donald Trump not in the violation of the Records Act? Number 16. By stating that he does not know if he has to uphold the Constitution by flouting 2 Supreme Court decisions, including a unanimous one, by harassing, threatening, and arresting judges and Congress members conducting oversight, by removing qualified personnel on the basis of color, gender, sexual orientation or identity, or creed, as well as inspectors general and military JAGs, by grotesquely threatening to use the National Guard or the military against Democrats, by declaring his admiration for MBS and having America's CEOs line up to shake and whitewash his hand. Indelibly soaked in Jamal Khashoggi's blood, is Donald Trump not making his disdain for law and justice clear? Number 17. By invoking fake wars and invasions, is Donald Trump not in violation of the Alien Enemies Act? Number 18. By flirting with the Insurrection Act without justification, is Donald Trump not endangering the security and welfare of foreigners and U.S. citizens alike? Number 19. By putting people indefinitely in overcrowded detainment centers without due process, without adequate food, water, medicine, and sanitation, places where a number of them have already died, is Donald Trump not a threat to human rights? 20. Gonna try to say this name. By having Anton Poslonikov, a Putin ally, save Trump media, is Donald Trump not beholden to Vladimir Putin? 21. By extorting Ukraine for minerals and refusing to give her military guarantees, putting tariffs on America's allies, and threatening their sovereignty, is Donald Trump not deliberately destabilizing the West, acting like Vladimir Putin's puppet, and being a threat to the post-World War II U.S.-led world order? 22. Are you not concerned about Putin's spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, stating earlier this year that Trump was rapidly changing U.S. foreign policy configurations and that this largely coincides with our vision, end quote? 23. If Donald Trump is indeed giving aid and comfort to Vladimir Putin, a foreign enemy, is he not a traitor? And is he not in violation of Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution? 24. If Donald Trump is America's Hitler, as J.D. Vance once previously observed, And if he poses a danger to the constitutional republic, to human rights, and to the world order, is Congress not going to immediately act and peacefully, but swiftly and decisively remove Donald Trump, a man regarded by most Americans as a dangerous dictator, from office? If you answer to the above is no, or cowardly, I don't know, this is not my job, at the very least you, as the current Speaker of the House, have, according to the Supreme Court, one urgent item of housekeeping to do before the people are poised to hold you and your enablers accountable for your obvious dereliction of duty and pluck the Speaker's gavel from your feckless hands. Given that Donald Trump incited an insurrection against the United States on January 6, 2021, as confirmed by the majority of each House of Congress, 232 to 197 in the House and 57 to 43 in the Senate, and that he has not been cleared by 2/3 of each House to run again, Donald Trump was, in fact, ineligible to run for office in 2024 per Section 3 of Article 14 of the U.S. Constitution, and you, as a constitutional lawyer, know it. In fact, in Trump versus Anderson, the Supreme Court did not dispute that Trump engaged in an insurrection, only that states could not force Article 4, Section 3 against federal office holders or candidates, but that only Congress enjoys the power to enforce the amendment through legislation pursuant to Section 5. Accordingly, it is imperative that you and the Senate Majority Leader see to it that Donald Trump is promptly cleared as president by a resolution backed by 2/3 majority of your chambers, or that legislation is passed by these margins in each chamber, followed by an additional ratification by 3/4 of the states, which would be the higher threshold required to amend the Constitution and remove this hurdle. Regardless of whether one agrees with Donald Trump's agenda or actions and how disgraceful and odious he may be to the true followers of the Constitution and of the Word of God, which you pretend to be on both counts, this would at least make his presidency legal beyond doubt. In the absence of the above, Donald Trump is little more than an uncouth, lawless squatter with multiple bankruptcies, convictions, and divorces, a draft-dodging adulterer, and failed businessman peddling Bibles and cars on the White House lawn and eroding the neighborhood's property values. And along that America's confidence in the rule of law, and the world's faith in America's word and moral leadership. Regards, Dr. Philip Lowe, PhD, Chairman, CEO, Founder, Neurojail. I read the rest of that. Well, you still with me? That was a mouthful. What you think? I think you pretty much know how I feel about it by the emotion that I read it with. What do you think? All very valid and true points. He's not legitimate because he was deemed to have done that. And the law says 2/3 of each house have to say it's cool, he can be president again. And they never did that. They asked the courts, but they kept ignoring Congress, like they're still doing. They were ignoring Congress before he even got hired for the job, elected. Essentially, that's what they're saying. He wasn't even hired in the proper way. And they were so busy trying to shut him up with the courts when they should have been asking Congress. They were fighting with the courts because they refused to go and ask Congress because they knew they wouldn't get 2/3 of the House or the Senate to agree. Majority is different than 2/3. It means at least a third of your own people have to vote. So, I don't know. What do you think? I I obviously agree, but let me know. Hey, and do me a favor. I forget. Give me a subscribe if you don't have one. Hit a like for me. Maybe others can, see my channel maybe a little easier. Get some more likes going. Because I know people are watching. I see all the views, and people forget to hit the like. So, just like I forget to ask you. So, hit the like, hit the sub, and have a good evening.